Dr. Linda Dixon here, and I'm going to give you a slight tour on how I approach an eyebrow. Now here's a tour of my makeup tray. Today I'm actually going to be using New Blonde with medium brown hair strokes. She has an orange brow, and I'm going to correct that with NuBrown. I'm going to add a drop or two of my eye wash to that, and I'm going to mix it with our trusty mixer right here. I want to make a dilute sort of wash out of Blonde NuBrown. Here's an important part of my tray setup, which is the fine tip makeup brush. You'll see us using that. Your mini mixer, my hand tool. This is with a patented needle called the Gemini 915. There's 2 rows of 9 along here, which is why they call it Gemini, 2 rows. And then there's 1 row coming back of 3 needles. That lets me work with a hand tool, precision, small areas. I also have a brow grooming razor here, a handy little razor for any stray hairs. I didn't used to use this, but I do use it now because those stray hairs can make your work look sort of messy or incomplete. Now, here's my buddy. It's called a Brow Buddy. You'll see me measuring for eyebrow symmetry with this Brow Buddy, and I use a pencil to mark where I want to measure my brows for symmetry at the beginning, at the arch, and at the tail, where they start and stop. Those are my friends there. I have a couple different stencils. You know, you can see they're different sizes and shapes, and I just would try these on people. They're a good starting place. There's a solid one. And then, of course, for our work, the tail is too, I don't know if you can see this. The tail is too thick there. That's a rounded stencil. My patients tend to like a little more of an arch. And then this would be sort of a popular one, but that's a little too peaky, but we won't make it too peaky. You notice also the rounded starting of the brow. This one looks like a pretty good stencil. That's nice. That's a very pleasant stencil. I'm going to keep this one out. And then here's another sort of evenly sized stencil, which you could use as a guide, but I don't think I'll use it very much. Here's my trusty 5-slope needle in my digital machine. And this has 5 needles that are angled. This is the needle that you dial your depth on. So you just dial your depth, and that's about right for starters. I'm going to be using all 5 needles as a brush, side to side. I'll be using them in a line like ducks in a row, and I'll turn it around and just use the top needle here that we call the ballerina needle as a single needle. I keep handy cotton these don't shed, and then some gauze. And also, what's really nice is this little latex-free sponge. I keep that. That comes in very handy for both cleaning the skin and cleaning your needles, because it doesn't damage the needles. Okay, my cotton swabs, my topical anesthetics, which are, here's NumPot on this spatula here. I'm going to put that on the back of my glove because I use NumPot a lot to clean the skin. This is Tag gel, and this is NumQuick Pink with Ultra Duration. And this is, of course, what NumQuick Pink looks like. here, and ultra duration is this. So we've made our own cocktail, and we use this for brows and sometimes lips. The skin does have to be opened a little bit ahead of time. Here's our comfort cream, and you can see it's a nice combination of both worlds. You've got a cream and a gel together in here. The last thing is I have water. I pick up these at Costco, and I put a little water, and at the end I'll put in a little ice cube because I do have a refrigerator and an ice maker. This cream I use to clean, and this is just Cetaphil, either lotion or cleanser, either one. Cetaphil, C-E-T-A-P-H-I-L. I always keep an eye loop on my work counter. Eye wash, either for their eyes or to add a couple drops to pigments to make the pigments a little more dilute for a wash effect, and a timer. I'm going to take my fine grit buffing block, which we have. They're 20 big blocks for like $5, and out of that you can cut them into fourths so you can get 100 of them. And then you have a couple choices. For example, let's just say on this side I put our comfort cream, and that's going to take probably 15 minutes. On the other hand, if you buff, which we did, and you use this cocktail, which has some liquid ultra duration and Numb Quick Pink or even Tag Gel, and you put it over this brow, then you're going to be ready to go in about 8 minutes. So it depends on what is convenient for you. So I've put those on her brows, and I'm going to set the timer maybe for right around a little less than 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and begin. I want you to notice how quickly her skin is blanching here. Remember, we used the liquid Ultra Duration and Numb Quick Pink here, and the liquid went right in to the broken skin. So that's why I tend on the brow to buff the brow, and oftentimes I use Numb Quick Spray. I use this a lot for brows and areola. That's a one step. Now I'm going to just do a little bit here. You can see there's a tiny bit of blanching, not much on this brow, and there's quite a bit of blanching on this brow. So she's probably going to be a little number on this side. I'm going to use my Brow Buddy here and right behind her here. We're just going to do a few basic measurements. I mark it on both sides. Just to see where we're going here. And let's go out here. Okay. Let's just make some other marks here. And then let's go out where she's got the brows now. And they're pretty even. Well, that's pretty good. A little skin laxity here. Okay, so there we go. I'm running my machine here at about, let's go up to about 120 there, and my 5-slope needle. My needles are way out, so I'm going to dial them back. Always set your needle's depth with your machine running. This is Blonde NuBrown. Now what does Blonde NuBrown do? It's going to neutralize that red. I don't want to lose my markings here too much, but if I have to mark again, I certainly will. You always want to know exactly where you're going. Now this is just a little wash. Nothing more or less. She already has color under there. I'm just neutralizing the orange. Okay. Always stay ahead of the paint with your liquid anesthetic. So let's just compare what's going on here. She's pretty close. See, this stencil is sort of a universal stencil. So let's use a little medium NuBrown. And I'm just going to paint this on here. Let's bring it up a little bit here. You have a top arch and a bottom arch, okay? So you want to keep the brow up there as much as possible. I want this tail up higher. Right now it's down there, which is where it was before we started. Let's keep this up at the top margin here. Okay, so here we are on side 2, and I started just about there. Let's stay on the upper outer edge here. Again, this is a nice guide. Lydia, has your hair always been sort of on the dark brown side?
Yes.
Okay, so and I'm stopping this brow right at this mark, which I can see right there. We don't want too much bulk up here. We want more movement to her brow. Right there. Then I'm staying up high here at the tail. Even though she has this old color under there, I'm sort of ignoring it. And I'll take my brush and I'll just go like that. Just so it's a nice line there. The color of the brows really needs to go with their skin because they can change their hair color from week to week or hairdresser to hairdresser. Okay, I'm going to sit you up. Look in the mirror and tell me if you have a preference for a more square beginning brow or a little more rounded.
I think I like the rounded side.
A rounded, okay.
But you're the professional.
Thank you, but I like to do what you want too. So we're going to stay with a little more rounded look here, and I'm going to round this off just a little bit. Now here's where that little razor comes in handy. Okay, so here we are again. Before I do my final start, I'm going to mark with my pigment. This is really the easiest way to do because the pigment, you don't need to do any pressure like you do for a pencil. Now I'm going to start my hair strokes out here. Are you okay?
Perfect.
No pain?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we're just laying down a template of hair strokes. Start at the top outer, big stretch, and down and across. Now here, her hairs are going a little more vertically. Make them a little short right there. You don't want some great big long hair. Okay, so there you've laid down your hair strokes. I don't know if you can see this out here. And those are her little hair strokes that are just starting. See this little guy? Up here and down, down, down. Right here at this trunk or bulb, or everyone has a different name for what the brow starts. Such control you have this way. The more hair strokes you put in, the more solid it gets. But people don't like a brow with a lot of holes in it. So you might consider having just a softer color, which I'll put in here today as well. I'm going to let that keep numbing, and I'm going to put over the numbing a little coat of Dream NuBrown. That's what we're using today, Dream NuBrown. So it soaks in the skin and plugs the holes. Okay, so here we are on her right brow, and I'm right next to her, right here. 1, 2, 3, stretch. Put your needles down flat so they're all touching the skin, making that little Rice Krispie sound. Your 3-point stretch. Is that hurting?
A little on
Little
this one.
tender, huh? Not too bad?
No, nothing to write home about.
Okay. So now we've got our template on this side. The goal, of course, is to have them look more like hairs. That is a hair right there. There's a couple of things that I like to do, and that's to cross my hair strokes so that it gives a little more density at the bottom. But can you see the hair strokes okay? Okay, so when I say cross a hair stroke, I simply mean cross the hair stroke like the letter H. So you go from this hair stroke, this is a hair stroke, okay? Here's a hair stroke. Here's a hair stroke. Here's a hair stroke. I'm using the ballerina single needle just to go over those little guys. The ones that are spread apart a little more, connect the bottom of the first one to the middle of the next one. It's a shorter hair stroke. Makes a letter H with the cross part of the H being more diagonal. So I've actually connected this hair to this hair by going like that. Okay, another thing you can do, you notice I'm working up on the ballerina needle now, a single needle, and I'm coming back over this. If you start out here and go in, you're going to get a better angle for your hair. Stay ahead of the pane. So I am going to put a little bit of our Ultra Duration Numb Quick Pink on here and a little of my Dream Brow, and I'll go back to the other brow. I'll just put in a few blonde hair strokes in there. They're not going to be as dark. I'm not going to clean my needles. I'm just going to dip it in the blonde, and I'm going between each hair stroke. It sort of gives you a softer effect. If you want to get really like Michelangelo and really get some hair highlights, you can take yellow flesh and just put a little bit on each hair, beside each hair, not on each hair, beside each hair. So you can see this gives it just a little softer, not so strokey. Because my clients will come back to me with, you know, good hair strokes, but they'll say, oh, you missed some color here. So they really don't like to see too much definition in their hair strokes. Just, there's a little puka there, a little room here, here, here. So here you've got your two-tone brow, which is just soft. The important thing is that you use the hair stroke technique so that you get texture. What people really like is brow texture. Now we got a few stray brows here. I don't shave the brows, just a stray hair here and there. You want to spare the brows. I'm right-handed, so for some reason the color goes in differently on their left brow. I don't worry about that either until we're doing our final nice little touch-ups. Okay, here we go. I'll make sure my needles are out. You have to adjust your handpiece. Make sure your needles are at the depth you want them. See those little hair strokes? We're going to go right beside them with a softer color. And remember that perfect is the enemy of good. So you'll notice that perfectionists oftentimes have a worse time because they'll overwork the skin and they'll work too long on an area, and what the effect that has is to actually take color out instead of to put color in. A little tender there. Sorry about that. You can be honest. Our people need to know.
Yeah, just a little.
Okay, we're almost done. And then I'm going to turn this around and use the ballerina needle just in this area. If I want just a little hair effect, it's all done with a single needle, the ballerina needle. So you notice it's simple. You just rotate your handpiece. This is all 5 needles. Rotate your handpiece 180, and then you've got your single needle. I'm going to put just a little bit here, here. I always tease my patients and tell them every dot's important, that if I put a dot on their nose, they'd see it, and that's true. If you put a stray dot anywhere, you will definitely attract attention just to that stray dot. I'm going to make a little adjustment right here. Just a little adjustment so it comes in evenly. I usually sit down when I work, but these last few steps or last few strokes, I oftentimes stand so that you want to look in the mirror, Lydia. Take a look.
Looks very pretty. Looks like in People magazine, the movie stars.
Well, it's a good start. I'm just going to, for my own satisfaction, see if I need to come in here a couple more head strokes, but I'm going to measure it. I'm not going to guess. So I'll take my favorite brow buddy, okay, and we'll go just like this. Get it right in the middle there, and using the pigment in the makeup brush. Let's see what we got going here. Okay, so this definitely needs to come in just a little bit. This needs to actually come up a little like that. That will definitely look a little better. I'll stay up just a little bit here. I won't go down quite that far. And I'm going to go ahead and use the softer color. You don't want to, you want to have people know you look good, but they don't have to know why. Don't want to attract. Here we are with the ballerina needle. Well, let's see how we're doing here. You don't want this little scooped area here. Okay. See if that's looking a little better. Okay, and then we'll just do this and we'll be all done in just 1 minute. Hairstroke, hairstroke. And of course, when you do it, it's going to depend on your eye as well. But if I fool around too much more, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. So I'm going to stop for today. This looks solid, but it'll heal textured. And so just down here, and I'm looking at these little guys. Little teeny hairs. Okay, there you go.
Okay, Lydia, I just wanted to know on a pain scale 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most, what your pain scale was today. What about for this side? This is where we use the Numb Quick Pink and the Alter Duration.
I could feel a little more pain in this side.
Okay.
With 0 being no pain and 10 being pain, I would give it maybe a 3.
On this side with the Numb Quick
and
Pink.
even not so much pain, a little pain in the middle of the brow, kind
Okay.
of.
Okay.
Not on the ends, either end.
Okay,
really.
so now this side we use the Comfort Cream. We buff the brows slightly first, and we use the Comfort Cream. So on a pain scale 1 to 10,
there
1
was
being
less pain. I
less
would say
than the other side.
maybe a 2 of, just barely, just a little pain. And once again, it was in the middle of the brow, not on either end. I didn't
Right.
really feel anything on either end.
Okay, but there was less pain with the comfort cream on this side?
Yeah.
Versus with the Numb Quick Pink on this side,
Yeah.
this eye. Okay, good.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.